Well, here we go back to Parliament, which is adjourned sitting on the controversial E-Levy bill to allow for broader consultation. And chaotic events which ensued in the House yesterday forced an adjournment of proceedings today. The House reconvened at 11 a.m. This morning to determine the fate of the proposed electronic transaction tax. We'll be bringing you how proceedings have panned out for a while. But for now, let's hear from Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu, who is speaking to the issues.
Because even substantive speakers who are members of Parliament are not precluded by any constitutional or rules of procedure provisions to participate in the voting in the House. I think that's the distinction that we should have.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much. Let the woman.
The E-Levy plenary got to a certain stage. When the House resumes, is it going to start a new process or going to continue?
Well, let's get to the bridge. We shall cross it.
Honorable Leader, issues regarding the budget statement, we were told of the 20-member committee put together by the leaders of the House. The 20-member committee to de-escalate and to ensure that the scenes that characterized that period will not repeat itself. We saw what happened yesterday. What are the plans to institutionalize consensus building, since it looks like this will not be the last time chaos will break out on the floor, but based on the numbers?
I think that people want to suggest that we have not been building consensus. I think I've spoken to this matter. I'm the majority leader. I've been a minority leader for 8 years. The current speaker has been a majority leader before. Then for the side of when I was a minority leader, the Honorable Cletus Abuka also served at one time as the majority leader. The Honorable Dr. Ben Kumbo at one time also served as the majority leader. For 8 years, I was the minority leader. I'll tell you, and the world should know, there was not one single occasion, that the leaders of the majority at the time invited me to a discussion. Not once, including Bagmin himself, as a majority leader for 4 years. Not once, one occasion did he invite me to his office for any discussion on the way forward for us as a country. The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, on 4 different occasions, has, through me, invited the leadership of the House, including Right Honorable Speaker, and then the members in leadership on the other side, for us to meet and dialogue on the way forward. That was even when we had 169. On 4 occasions. President Mills did not do that once. President Mahama, for his 4 years, not once. So if it comes to building consensus and uniting the House, if they turn around to say that, oh, we are not doing that, I'm sorry. It is palpable untruth.
And that was Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu. Let's now bring you a sneak peek of how proceedings panned out this morning.
It's important that we carry the country along, and we need to demonstrate to the country that our democracy is growing and will not suffer some of the unacceptable sins and spectacles we've witnessed on the floor. Mr. Speaker, the leader have suggested, I only can concur, that you adjourn the House Senate for further consultation on the outstanding issue. Thankfully, appropriation have been passed. so the minister can keep the country running and keep its institutions running. I second the motion for adjournment.
Honourable members, the motion for adjournment has been moved and seconded. All in favour of the motion say aye. All against say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The House is accordingly adjourned sine die.
We adjourned the House yesterday, and we indicated to ourselves that we'll be reconvening here at 9.
Well, meanwhile, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu insists the minority will not allow itself to be bullied as far as the approval of the levy is concerned. He is of the view the decision to adjourn sitting to allow for a broader consultation is the best way to go.
To allow for deeper consultations on the way forward, on the nature of what ought to be done about raising revenue for government. But E-Levy, we are unresolved, unequivocally, that we will not support it in its current form, character, and nature. And yesterday, I sought to explain to you, ladies and gentlemen of the media, President Nana Addo Dankwa himself and the Minister of Finance do not even understand what they are doing. When you say that telecos have agreed to lower legalized levy, two is
Poor visuals there, but that was the Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu expressing the need for consultation. Well, here is a recap of all the action you may have missed from last night's chaotic scenes in Parliament. The House was compelled to vote on whether or not to consider the E-Levy bill under a certificate of urgency. But the voting process was truncated by violence on the floor, forcing the Speaker to adjourn proceedings. Here is a news desk report.
It was a free-for-all brawl by members of Parliament, hands at each other's throats, throwing punches like boxers in the ring, and ripping apart each other's shirts. This violent scene is playing out on the Speaker's days as the MPs fight over the Speaker's seat. The night had started with Parliament requiring to vote on whether or not to take the controversial E-Levy under a certificate of urgency. But Speaker Alban Babing was nowhere to be found. If he did not return to his chair, then the MPP side will lose one vote, as the first Deputy Speaker, who was presiding, will not have a vote. Here is Deputy Majority Leader Afenyo Marke.
We do not know the whereabouts of Mrs. Speaker. It is not for leadership to contact Mrs. Speaker. It is for parliamentary service through the clerk to Parliament. The clerk to Parliament and the clerk at table have indicated that they do not know the whereabouts of Mr. Speaker. Have they reached out to him? I'm saying that they say so. That's question of whatever, you may find out from them. But for now, we do not know the whereabouts of Mr. Speaker.
Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak explains to PM Express that the Speaker may have retired for medical reasons.
Let's not pretend that we in this House do not know that Speaker is going through treatment. And definitely, Speaker gets exhausted and will not be able to sit the whole day.
With Speaker Alban Babing absent and the MPP side determined to win the vote to have the E-Levy considered under a certificate of urgency, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joe Osowusu, was forced to preside, but that meant he could not cast a vote, leaving the MPP side one vote short. Without his vote, there will be a tie, and that will kill the motion. It was at this point that Joe Osowusu made the following declaration that triggered a long period of violence on the floor of Parliament.
Enough members, because we don't have a division room, I'm advised that the agreement is that we'll all file out and then the yes will come and they are counted. After that, the no's will come and they are counted. But let me put on record that as soon as I leave the seat, I'm entitled to vote.
Joe Sowusu then got up for his second deputy speaker to take over. Fearing that he may be going out to actually cast his ballot, the NDC MPs charged onto the speaker's dais to seize his seat so the second deputy speaker could not sit down. The MPP side charged back and the two sides clashed. And after a long break, the second deputy speaker returned to make the following announcement.
Honourable members, under the circumstances, we are adjourning the House for tomorrow, 9 o'clock in the forenoon.
The showdown over the E-Levy continues later this morning.